Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game INSUP versus EnTe, or Insuperable versus EnTe. This game taking place here on Secret Valley 2.0. I'm gonna go ahead and speed things up to the 8 times speed just to, well, save myself a little bit of time as I am a bit behind schedule. We are looking at a Lich first coming in from INSUP. Meanwhile, EnTe opening up with a Lich first as well. So it is gonna be a battle of the brains in this undead versus undead matchup. All right, Lich first. Perhaps we're going to see a lot of dark rituals, rod of necromancy usage, as well as both sides really want to level up their hero as quickly as possible. All right. Yes, thank you, everyone, as this game is already getting underway. Quick damage onto that Null Warden that does take bonus damage from the normal attacks of, well, pretty much everything here, and now allowing for additional skeletal minions to be summoned up because of that corpse. There is a little bit of a cooldown on that Rod of Necromancy, as I don't need to tell you, as we're looking at the Null Overseer still, well, absorbing quite a bit of damage. Meanwhile, Lich is going to be coming back across over. Who's going to get the final shot off? Lich picks up the Circuit of Nobility. There's a Frost Nova now, and now there down goes a Ghoul, as Ghouls are coming back across the other side. We are also looking at EnTe trying to escape away here. There is a Tome of Strength there, and that's going to end up getting picked up by the Lich there. Now up to 500 hit points compared to 525. Difference of 1 strength because of, well, because of that Circlet of Nobility. Who got that last shot off there? I believe EnTe did. INSUP only getting a couple of kills on some earlier units here, as lower hit point, well, skeletal minions could actually just get cleaned up here. One shot could finish it off. There's that little bit of experience, as well as the Lich now trying to catch back up, perhaps going to try and get some damage onto some of these other units as well. All right, damage is racking up. Lich is now on Blight. Should be able to benefit a little bit there. And while on Blight, regenerating hit points. Meanwhile, this Lich, dangerously low, as we're looking at EnTe's Lich, now at 125 mana, meaning Frost Nova is in the cards and could be rather dangerous. All right, both sides exchanging blows once more. Who's going to get that kill? Who's going to get that experience? That is the question now, as the low hit point Ghoul trying to retreat back again. That little bit of regeneration while on Blight by EnTe, really pushing him back into that green zone on those hit points. Meanwhile, skeletal minions and ghouls not going to be able to put in that much pressure. Down to 131 hit points, or rather up to 131 hit points after all this time, as natural regeneration keeping that Lich afloat for now. Back at the bases, we are looking at tech to tier 2 on both sides. Graveyards being placed down as well, as the Lich trying to get in some damage. There's a big Frost Nova damage, and there was an Acolyte right in the front trying to body block that Lich. Almost got the kill there, as the Lich forces a Scroll of Town portal, and now that Lich might actually find himself in a bit of a difficult situation. However, the Lich does have access to that Ritual Dagger now, able to regenerate some hit points, and also has, well, pretty much full mana. Now at full mana here, as both sides still engaging. All right, trying to rack up damage onto these units, trying to get damage onto that Lich. Lich is still regenerating hit points. There's level 2 on that Lich now, and with level 2 and Boots of Speed, trying to head back off to the north. Perhaps going to try and land a Frost Nova. No, gets an auto attack there, and at least forces a Ritual Charge to be used, and a new, well, skeletal minion may need to be sacrificed in order to continue healing on that Lich. Both sides still battling it up here, exchanging blows. Are we going to see a Frost Nova? Yes, we are. There's a big Icy Blast there, slowing down all of those ghouls, as well as we see a Dark Ritual used once more. No more Rod of Necromancy charges for EnTe. EnTe trying to keep his distance now, knowing that the army of INSUP is probably going to be too much as he gets to level 2. All right, both sides, Dark Ritual, Frost and Nova strategies. We are looking at that tech to tier 2 nearly done. EnTe very heavy on ghouls right now. Meanwhile, we are looking at INSUP getting up a Death Knight, and EnTe should be following up with that Death Knight here in just a moment. That Death Knight with that, well, 200 hit point heal. EnTe also quickly taking the tier 3 right after this, foregoing the slaughterhouse, or rather delaying the slaughterhouse until, well, progress is made on that tech. Meanwhile, we are looking at a Cloak of Shadows getting picked up by that Lich. Most likely will be sold for a bit of extra gold. Now, at this point in stage in the game, INSUP and EnTe looking to clear out the creep camps instead of trying to go up against each other. We can see a Wand of Mana stealing on InSup's Lich here. It does take 65 mana per charge as opposed to the previous 50, so that is going to be a fairly large difference. Being able to, well, take 65 mana, that is a 30 mana swing per charge, a 60 mana swing overall, and well, denying your opponent resources is just as important, if not more important at times, as giving yourself some resources. Lich, Death Knight now wandering back off to the north here. What's going on? Lich, Death Knight, Skeletal Minion still doing a little bit of scouting. Army of EnTe, actually a bit smaller, has a bit more gold in the bank, and that should mean when the time comes, he's going to be in a great spot and have supply to try and summon in that slaughterhouse and get those obsidian statues. Tier 3 is, well, nearly done for EnTe. Meanwhile, InSup not far behind either, as both sides are going to be engaging here. There goes a Frost Nova onto a unit. Acolyte able to escape away once more. That regeneration while on Blight, nothing to sneeze at, as this Lich of EnTe now in a little bit of trouble trying to back away. But, well, no, actually he's trying to stay in position here. And interestingly enough, while trying to stay in position, could have a little bit of bad days. There goes a Frost Nova onto an Acolyte. It gets taken down. We're going to see a big heal onto that Lich there, as both sides are still engaging. All right, more damage still getting racked up. No additional auto attack damage. There goes another Dark Ritual trying to rack up more and more damage onto those units here, as a Shade is keeping track of InSup's, inner workings. Now, EnTe sitting at 36 over 40 supply, could try and train up that obsidian statue once that slaughterhouse is done. Yes, we are now looking at a slaughterhouse getting constructed, or not getting constructed, training up an obsidian statue. I feel a little off today. Hopefully I'll settle in once the action does start strong. Little bit of an unfortunate situation here for EnTe. EnTe getting ensnared onto that Crypt Fiend, as InSup gonna start building a commanding lead. InSup sitting at 40 over 50 supply, has a decent level heroes as well, as both sides may try and engage. All right, Death Knight down to the south side here, getting to get a quick death coil off. Both sides exchanging blows, and what is going to end up going down? Lich does have that Orb of Corruption. Meanwhile, InSup doesn't have the Orb of Corruption. That is going to be a very big deal, as a Frost Nova goes down onto that Crypt Fiend. Are we going to be looking at a death coil? No, Silence as the third and final hero, but we could see the death of the Death Knight there. Dark Ranger hired up by InSup, stopping the Death Knight from being able to get a death coil off to save the Crypt Fiend, only to end up losing his own level 1 Death Knight. Exchanging of blows is going to be a big deal. Meanwhile, all of these ghouls are going to be taking a lot of AoE damage from those level 2 Frost Novas. That splash damage does fill into other units here, as the Death Knight now down to 34 hit points. He gets taken down as well. EnTe losing his own Death Knight after shutting down InSup's Death Knight here. 42 supply compared to 28. InSup having a commanding lead now, and with this continuing to try and put pressure on to that Lich and all of these remaining units. All right, trading back and forth. EnTe now looking to retreat all the way back to the top right. Death Knight already here, ready to go. Hasn't been rallied to the undead army as of yet, finally making its way down, as the obsidian statues of InSup are going to keep that Lich fairly strong overall. We could perhaps be looking at a little bit more damage, perhaps trying to finish off some of these units. EnTe's one skeletal minion actually still chasing after all this time, finally getting taken down there, as we're now looking at damage going on to the Lich. Wow. Lich now down to 14 hit points, trying to retreat away. Meanwhile, the other Lich gets taken down as well. Those long distance attacks and finally hitting their targets, and both sides losing their Lich. EnTe first, followed by InSup. Both sides trying to use every last hit point that they possibly could, and ends up just running out of hit points there. Crypt Fiend gonna be in a bit of trouble. A little bit of damage here. Lich back out onto the battlefield. Long distance death coil finds its target, and that Crypt Fiend is saved. Meanwhile, this Death Knight now perhaps needs to retreat back, as the Lich is regenerating hit points and mana. InSup having the larger armor, able to resurrect at the tavern, and if the Lich perhaps lands enough attacks onto that Death Knight, it will end up falling again. more units trying to retreat back here. We're looking also at ghouls trying to catch up to that Death Knight. Death Knight end up getting denied by the creeps. These ghouls of InSup need to back away. Meanwhile, the Death Knight of EnTe ends up getting lost, but it may be traded again. InSup may end up losing here as the Lich is now back out onto the battlefield, trying to break free here. InSup or EnTe with that Orb of Corruption, able to get the final shot off there on that Death Knight who was attempting to run away. Meanwhile, this Lich down to, well, 191 hit points. He's trying to retreat back as well. Little bit of mana going on. This Lich has enough for a Frost Nova. He's going to try and turn the corner, trying to block that line of sight every which way. Dark Ranger gets into the front. There's a Frost Nova, and the Dark Ranger is going to finish it off. Okay, I can't even keep track of the number of heroes that are falling on both sides. EnTe currently with 2 heroes up, InSup only with 1 hero up. This Dark Ranger trying to shut it down, this Obsidian statue, as it is getting over in a transit and may actually get that final shot there. All right, both players playing basically a food fight game is what I'd call it. It is a sloppy mess, but so entertaining as everyone just gets hit in the face with just more food, and it just looks a little, well, needs to rebound a bit more. 39 supply compared to 29. And remember, this is all off of one base. Resurrecting level 3 heroes from the tavern is still an expensive proposition. All right, yes. Exchanging back and forth. Death Knight comes across with the Death Coil. We're going to look at more fights. All heroes are back out on the battlefield. I guess it's easy to resurrect the level 1 Death Knights as their resurrection time is rather short. InSup is going to lose that Lich again. Yes, he does. InSup losing the Lich again as the Death Knight finally gets up to level 2. Dark Ranger, however, falls at level 2. There is another exchange, and I don't know, a baker's dozen loss of heroes on both sides may end up being possible as EnTe is trying to, well, stay alive here with this Death Knight. Death Knight does have a Scroll of Town Portal. Is he going to use it? No, he does not. But then we're going to see another exchange here. Are we going to see that Dark Ranger get taken down? Yes, we are. We may actually see our baker's dozen of hero kills in a single game. Both sides double resurrecting at the tavern again. 29 supply compared to 29, and this is one of the strangest games I have seen. Everyone trying to use every last hit point of their units, but you're supposed to stop if the next bit of hit points would kill it. All right, and that apparently they didn't get that memo. Both sides still exchanging blows here. There goes a Crypt Fiend. Finally, a non-hero getting killed. 35 to 34. No words for, well, trying to keep track of what is going on here in a true mirror match. Both sides having the same heroes, blue versus purple, with the overlays swapped on their position. Difficult to keep track for me whose heroes are getting killed more. Hero levels 4-2-2 compared to 3-2-2, so it looks like EnTe has the slight advantage, which means it's the bottom left-hand side, even though EnTe is on the right. All right, continuing to clear things up. EnTe wants to get to level 3 on this Death Knight. If he does, that 400 hit point burst heal should be enough. Meanwhile, we're looking at InSup clearing out this expansion gold mine here at the 3 o'clock location, and there are still these fountains of health that can be cleared out eventually. Normally in games like this, you see players fighting against creeps during the middle portion of the game, and that just isn't what we saw here. So the hero levels weren't that high, hence the healing wasn't really outpacing that damage at these low levels. All right, Orb of Corruption. Are we going to see a death coil to try and save that destroyer? No, not quite needed. This one shade of EnTe doing a lot of work and able to keep track of everything here. All right, Shade still keeping track. There goes a Frost Nova. Death Knight continuing to exchange blows, going back and forth as the, well, Dark Ranger is in that frontline position. Death Coil does come across with the save, but probably wishes it had a bit more hit points again. Crypt Fiend about to get taken down. Meanwhile, both sides are still exchanging blows here. Death Knight needs a little bit more mana, gets another Death Coil off on the Dark Ranger, as level 3 Dark Ranger versus, well, a dead level 2 Dark Ranger still here. EnTe may end up losing this Dark Ranger one more time. 1 or 2 more shots may be enough. InSup trying to keep up with the target there. Lich could get a Frost Nova off. Auto attack is enough. Level 3 now on the Death Knight. Death Knight now could come back around, try and get a Death Coil off on his own Lich, as that is slow. There goes a Frost Nova on Crypt Fiend as that gets frozen in place. All right. Low hit point, Dark Ranger trying to rejoin back in on the fight. There is another Frost Nova. Both sides exchanging Frost Nova's death coils, obsidian statues. Who's attacking who? The lines are not clearly drawn anywhere as the Dark Ranger shows up from behind and now trying to go after that Crypt Fiend here. It looks like a little bit of damage could be enough. InSup going to be able to finish it off as Purple is finally, well, on the same side here as we are looking at the Shade, perhaps taking a little bit too much damage from, well, overlapping Frost Novas. Both sides still exchanging here. InSup going to lose a Destroyer. Not enough mana for a Death Coil as of yet. There it gets taken down. Lich trying to retreat back as the Lich is going to go ahead and stand back on his own Blight and heal back up. Level 3 Dark Ranger, about 40% resurrected. Meanwhile, InSup now retreating back here. Both sides back to normal pretty much as the Death Knight as low on mana. Same with that Lich and that Dark Ranger just close to 3. All right, strange game overall. 45 supply compared to 42. Dark Ranger going to make its way back out, but plenty of hero kills. If that's the type of player you are, if you like seeing players just try and shut down enemy heroes, perhaps even over focus on them, this has been the game for you. Overlord easily going to get cleaned up here. Finally taking down Dark Ranger, now up to level 3 as we see a Medallion of Courage. Now given to, was that to the Lich? Yeah, given to the Lich, their strength and intelligence, even more mana on that Lich as that Lich is trying to get to level 5. All right, Tome of Intelligence +2, even more damage perhaps on that Lich. Yes, Lich up to up to 60 damage per attack, and with all of those tomes and items. Ogre Lord down to the south side here. Death Knight looking to try and clear out this Ogre Lord. There is a single Frost Worm keeping track staying pace with the army here. Crypt Fiends now joining in 49 supply compared to 47 as of, well, we're looking at this creep camp getting cleared up as well. All right, Fountain of Health on the top left finally getting cleared up. This is going to will add in some extra free healing for InSup's army, and both sides now clearing out these difficult creep camps. Death Knight of EnTe now sitting at level 3 as well, so will have access to that level 2 Death Coil. It may come down to just who has a little bit more experience in those next fight, or whoever gets to level 5 on that Lich first. That's going to be the first critical domino to fall, so to speak. Once you get to level 5 on that Lich, well, that splash damage seems to add up significantly faster as the Lich now up to plus 27 damage, and getting in even more as well. Nope, the sides, well, I guess it dropped back down. Perhaps it had a roar or some sort of power or damage boost. Nah, they resurrects them. Yeah. We're looking at EnTe sitting at 58 supply compared to InSup's 49. InSup purposely staying in low upkeep, and is he trying to buy additional consumable items for the next fight, as his gold is still overall lower than EnTe's. EnTe has, well, 60 over 60 supply and is mining less gold per second, as we are about down to 1 minute of mining left. All right, trying to finish off the remainder of these creeps. Finishing off these creeps does give a little bit of gold overall, as, well, no, Manual of Health picked up by that Death Knight just shy of level 4. On the bottom right-hand side of the map, this fountain can still be cleared up, as well as EnTe does get to level 5 on the Lich and opts to back away, well, perhaps just trying to get the units away from that fountain of health, and then thereby making it easier to clear it up. The Lich shouldn't be in this fight any longer. Once the Drake is gone, since the Lich is just stealing experience away from these other heroes. The Dark Ranger and that Death Knight would have benefited from a little bit more experience. Meanwhile, off to the north here, perhaps we're looking at nope, only a Forest Troll High Priest, the last unit left here. Will the Lich be able to get to level 5? That is the question. All of the other heroes are purposely backing away, and it is 4 experience shy. That could be the difference there. InSup already level 5 on his hero, on his Lich. Meanwhile, we're looking at InSup looking at level 4 on that Lich. So the first 1 or 2 Frost Novas coming out of the gate will greatly favor EnTe. As INSUP finally breaks into low upkeep, we can see Haunted Goldmine is about to finish mining out here. We can already see EnTe's gold mine already finished mining as well. So we're looking at low upkeep range supplies on both sides. Destroyer is going to get ready to engage here. We're looking at a couple of skeletal minions as well. Meanwhile, Crypt Fiends, Lich, Dark Ranger, Death Knight ready to engage here in just a moment. 3 Destroyers, 1 Frostworm going up against, well, 3 Destroyers, 2 Obsidian Statues, a bit more Crypt Fiends. It may come down to the Obsidian Statues. I don't see any Obsidian Statues for EnTe, so fights, if they go long, will actually favor INSUP, as INSUPERABLE has more options to continue to, well, machine gun out those spells. That is going to be a big difference there. However, the Frostworm, if it gets within range of those Obsidian Statues in the back, those Obsidian Statues, well, those Obsidian Statues are very weak to magic damage, which the Destroyers and that Frostworm do apply. Unsummoning up a couple of more buildings, a second Frostworm jumping in from EnTe, and timing is going to be key here. Not your standard game whatsoever. Both sides keeping track of expansions, making sure that, well, is this how we're going to do this? Are we going to be doing one last fight, see who comes out on top? Death Knight, Lich, Dark Ranger, 4-4-3, going up against EnTe, currently sitting on 5-4-3. Silence is also going to play a key role straight out of the gate, but both sides have level 2 black arrows over level 2 silence. EnTe's unsummoning up a couple more buildings. That is a lot of ziggurats to unsummon, perhaps trying to buy more scrolls of healing or other items for this upcoming battle. All right, the Boneyard now sitting at 80 over 40 supply, unsummoning all of these here, and now we're going to be going into this battle, and as I mentioned, Obsidian Statue trying to be trained up as well, Destroyers having plenty of mana, and that's what all of those Obsidian Statues were for, to try and get a lot of mana onto those Destroyers for this initial fight. Both sides fighting their way through. Crypt Fiends could try and engage. Where are these units perhaps going to try and fight back? This Obsidian Statue in the backfield, not joining in. That could be a big loss there as both sides are exchanging. All right, well, Shade is joining in on the fight here, but no Obsidian Statue, as EnTe is trying to get this Obsidian Statue back with his own units. Lich on INSUP, able to use a potion of invulnerability in time. Death Coil for that save right there. Both sides still exchanging blows, both sides having level 5 Liches, as we're looking into, well, illusionary Frostworms as well. As both sides are exchanging blows, INSUP trying to retreat back with that Lich down to 500 hit points, and now with a Silence still trying to get away, absorbing quite a bit of damage. Are we going to see a Death Coil? Yes, there's a big Death Coil here or there, as the Death Knight ends up falling for EnTe falling and losing that Death Knight, as we see the Scroll of Town Portal back, but EnTe ends up with this Obsidian Statue here. Did INSUP keep his Obsidian Statue? No, he did not. INSUP didn't have that, this INSUPERABLE's Obsidian Statue is still sitting outside his base. That has been a key missing feature for INSUP. The additional hit points, the additional mana could have been absolutely huge. Instead, right now, he needs to walk this Obsidian Statue all the way back to his army, and that is missing precious time to top off these units for this upcoming fight. All right, army is now trying to make their way off. This is 3 Frostworms by EnTe and 1 Obsidian Statue who is with the army. Doesn't matter how large your army is, unless if they are not in the right position, they can't deal or perform their roles. All right, transitioning back. This 1 Obsidian Statue going to end up getting cleaned up by EnTe, and now I believe with EnTe, well, losing his Obsidian Statue, it is now a complete fair fight. Those Frostworms may not be able to do very much. Lich now trying to retreat back. The Frostworms trying to catch up there as both sides are exchanging blows. There goes a Frost Nova on to EnTe's Lich. Lich falls at level 5. Meanwhile, Dark Ranger still trying to catch up, and these Frostworms are just trying to catch up to that Lich here, who has Boots of Speed and is able to outrun much more quickly than I originally would have expected. Lich now trying to get back on the Blight here, perhaps perhaps trying to regroup with the rest of his army. INSUP is in a favorable spot as he has the level 5 Lich, and EnTe ends up leaving the game. All right, so both sides just really using their Lich very effectively, able to shut down their opposing heroes. But how many hero kills did we have? We did have a baker's dozen on hero kills, 13 between the two of them. All right, a crazy, crazy battle back and forth. I've seen games where high-level players only lose their hero once between the two of them. This one, well, heroes, falling, well, I guess your heroes truly die. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.